Can you come up here for a sec? Everybody online, we're going to get started here in just a minute. We got Zac. Come around this side. But
Are we live?
We're live now. We just went on. We got Michael McEwen here. He's going to greet everyone live, not in the chat.
Hello, everyone.
Nope,
Good to see you.
Go ahead, take the mic.
Take the
I'll
mic
take
and
the mic.
introduce.
So far, we got Kim Thomas.
Hey, hi, Kim. How are you doing?
Kim.
It'll start populating. We got Mike Leska. We got Vinny.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Vinny. How are you doing today?
Everybody knows Michael McEwen, but unless you happen to catch a live stream at SWAT or wherever else.
Or Zach Higgins or Carl Jacobson.
Nope.
We got Roman.
Roman, nice.
Mike.
Very cool.
Shout out already.
Okay.
Mr. Gold in the house.
Mr. Gold.
We're glad to have you down here.
Yeah.
Thank you,
thanks
Chad.
for
Glad
coming.
to be here. Glad to be here.
Old Man River. I can't remember who Old Man
That's
River.
Dale.
Dale.
Hey, Dale.
Dale, you got Revo.
Yeah.
Kevin Cronewater. Winter. Put my glasses on.
Put your glasses on.
Yeah.
KRL, PLPS. I'm trying to remember.
Oh,
Oh, Mr. Gold from Leah.
hey, Leah.
Isn't it funny being on this side?
Looking forward to SWAT
Yeah. Does Leah go to SWAT?
every year.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
Let's see. Michael. Hello, Michael. Mark L.
Hey, Mark.
Nice.
Mark in Tucson.
Yeah, Mark, you should come on up.
I don't think he could.
No, I had something else going on.
No,
We get that.
it happens.
Yeah.
All right.
We
cool.
know.
We're
We
gonna
know.
go live
Somebody
in
hasn't been to SWAT for a
3
while.
minutes. We got
I
3
know,
minutes,
I know.
everybody.
This year should be there.
Enjoy, everybody.
Thank you for doing the live
Yeah.
meet and greet.
You're welcome, sir.
Michael McEwen, everybody. Yeah. Oh. We got a Gretchen said hello,
Gretchen's in there.
and a Walter Archer.
Gretchen, how come you're not here?
Famous, she said. Ooh.
What?
Gretchen was like, famous people.
Famous
Michael.
people.
So Zach,
All right. Yeah, how does this thing all work?
start,
Minute.
stop, and then you double tap for the next start.
Okay.
This is your start, your
Okay.
stop button, but it has to be out,
Okay.
and then your speed.
I think I got it.
I think you can handle it.
I got it. All right. Welcome, everybody.
All right, everybody. Let me make
Welcome.
one quick announcement.
All right, so yesterday I cast some blanks. Now, this is not one of the ones I cast yesterday, and the reason for that is it takes a little while for the blanks to fully harden. So usually with Alumilite clear slow in the kind of room temperature environment we're in, it's going to take about 5 days to fully cure. And not to say that I couldn't have turned one of those. I could have, but it would have been softer, and I'd rather just turn something that's ready to go. So I did something that's similar before I came down here, and so it's pretty much the same blank. Where did I put those? I don't think we have those blanks yet.
Oh, they're in on the table. You can grab them?
We didn't pop them, did we?
I popped 4.
4? Okay, yeah. If you want, you can pass those around so everybody can kind of see what we're doing live. And I don't know. Yeah, you're good, Zach. You don't have, what? Good what? You're under the camera. Well, it's not on. It's that one. That's why I looked. I don't know which but. There it is. See, I need the thing on this side too. Oh,
From yesterday.
cool. Anyway, for everybody at home, we put silver. One of the P-Town colors is called Dusty Rose, which it's kind of coppery, I would say, copper bronze. We did a purple and green, and in this blank we put some. In the silver, we put some of the chunky starlight glitter, and then in the green, we got the micro starlight. So it was just kind of an attempt to kind of, I don't think most people want to think, let me put mica powder and then let me dump glitter in that. That's not the first thing that I think of, at least. A lot of times I'm going to do glitter in like a transparent resin or something else where it's like the thing where, I don't know, you can do it with lots of different things. So what the glitter is going to do is give you sparkle, whereas the micas are going to be pearly, which are two different like shiny kind of stuff. So I thought, let's just make a blank and we'll turn one up. So I don't know. I glued the tubes in this morning, and I don't typically like to do that. I usually do it the day before. So,
Did you
know.
accelerate them?
Did I what? Yeah, I used accelerator.
Zach, we have an important question from the online community from Gretchen. How was the pizza?
The pizza was fabulous.
Okay, good.
Both kinds.
Excellent, excellent.
Both kinds. So I think everything's gonna be fine. But
Gretchen,
typically
you are
I like
missed.
to let the glue dry 24 hours. It's just that's how it works. It's gonna be as good as it's ever gonna be if you wait overnight. But we should be good. We should be good here. So let me see here. And I like to turn between centers, the TBC style. The mandrels work fine if you get a good mandrel. I had so many problems early on in my pen turning career, and I found these. I like it better. It is going to be slightly more accurate because it's a shorter throw between the centers, slightly. But that's the way that I like doing it. The biggest drawback, I would say, is I can only do one blank at a time, where on a mandrel you can turn the whole thing. And I thought about, Chad's like, oh, you want a mandrel? And I'm like, that would make more sense for a demo. But I don't ever do that, so no. I like my TBC bushings. So, whoop, missed the hole there. This thing's got some action going on this tailstock. Let's see, is there anything else? The other thing about what I'm gonna do today is kind of go through my polishing technique. I do it a little bit different than Chad and different than everybody else, most likely. I have kind of ways that I like doing things, but I'm also kind of fluid. Sometimes I'll try new things and see whichever works the best for you is the thing that you should do.
Zach, didn't you recently tell me you went through all the Zona grits?
I did that because I'm always like, it never works for me. But I ran into an issue where I really couldn't polish. First, I don't know what the deal, I don't even know what I was doing. But polish would have gotten stuck in things. So I didn't want to use the magic juice. It would have left a residue, and even buffing would have left junk somewhere. I don't know what I was doing. So I'm like, oh, I'll try Chad's method. I'll just go through the Zona. And the first time ever, it was perfect. I was like, oh, okay. So, but typically that's not what I get. So I'm going to do my normal method. And what I do is I go through and sand a couple different grits, and then I go and do the magic juice polish. I've just, over time, it's so simple. It's idiot proof, which is what I need, and it goes great. So let's see here. So I'm going to be using carbide. I generally, at this point, I just love carbide. It's so simple. I'm going to use, for pens, I find that the standard cutters generally are fine. I don't typically get tear out, so I'm sure that's going to happen today. But live. But
Way to set yourself up.
Right? Well, that's why I said it. I'm like, it's probably going to happen. So then it's not going to happen because it's the opposite. But the negative rate cutters for resin are excellent. And I always, when Easywood Tools, I was actually one of the people that they kind of were like, hey, what do you think about this? And when I tried them out, I was like, dude, game changer. It really was. Oh, okay. Here's the ones we poured yesterday.
No, I already passed it.
We've already passed those around.
Oh. So
I was showing them to the overhead, Zach.
Oh, the
I should've been
home
more
crowd. Home crowd.
home crowd.
I was thinking home team. Am I on the thing?
Yeah, you're good.
I don't know where we need a monitor that way so you see what you're doing.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Cool. What was I saying?
You were saying easy.
Negative rate cutters. It is, man, if you blow a blank up with a negative rate cutter, I don't know what you're doing. It's tough because you can literally just kind of poke at it and it's so smooth, but they cut well. They still turn good. So if you've never turned resin before, maybe throw a negative rate cutter on. The beauty of it is they fit on the same tool. You don't have to do anything different. If you've got negative rakes, you just switch the cutter out. So it's pretty awesome. The other thing is I also really like the normal cutters if I'm doing the bespoke pens, or maybe a diamond painting pen would be another one, where you've got a pretty long blank. It's not supported by brass or anything. You didn't glue it onto something where it's rigid. You get a lot more flex, and I find that the standard cutters, I get less chatter in the middle of the blank. It's not kind of wobbling as much. You're cutting more. So either way, I like the negative rate cutters, but I don't know. That's about it. So does anybody have any questions before I start turning? No questions. Okay, just wanted to make sure. It's pretty simple stuff. Spin it, pop it, do something, turn it on. And I'm like terrible at other people's tools, so hopefully this will go. I usually just spin it. How fast does this go?
3,000.
I think it goes like 4,000. I usually go as fast as I can for pens. They're thin, and what's happening if you want my thought on the physics, the more times it's going around it's like a feed rate. For me moving the thing, you're going to get a smoother cut the faster it's going. But as things get bigger, you don't want it. You don't want a 12-inch bowl going 50,000 RPMs. So let's see. Is this thing? It's too high. Let's get this.
Do you want a shorter tool rest? There's a 4-inch up there as well.
It's okay. I cheat at home. I have a little mark on my tool rest post, so I know exactly, because carbide generally is going to be the same no matter which tool you're using. How do I do this? All right, let's see if I...
And you said no blowouts today?
I said I'm definitely going to blow one up
Definitely
today.
not.
We have $10 bet on it.
Whenever Zach's here, I like to put the lathe in reverse so he doesn't know.
I just put the tool rest on the other side. It's all right. This is Alumilite clear
It's the
slow.
Alumilite like he cast yesterday.
Sounds like you're stirring butter over there.
Yeah. Warm butter.
It is pretty buttery. But, that's the other thing, though. Again, the faster it's going, you get a smoother cut in that sense, too. But the biggest thing is sharp tools. I mean, I don't care what. You could use high-speed steel, carbide, a stick. As long as it's sharp, you're going to get good results. If it's not sharp, you're not going to have a fun day. Turning. And I end up, a lot of people, I think Easy Wood Tools even tells you to like keep it flat. And I just, this is not comfortable to me. And I find that especially if your tool rest is dinged up or sticky, it just doesn't work. So I actually tilt it just a little bit, and I just find it's much more like a high-speed steel tool, the movements.
It's a lot like a skew.
Yeah, it's easier, except I couldn't. Skews either went really well, 1% of the time, or really bad, most of the time. But it leaves a pretty good finish. And so this is, what we're making here is a cigar pen kit. Turner's Warehouse sells, you make your own kits. They're your kits, right? I just want to make sure I'm not saying anything weird. Where they're literal copper. It's not a plating. It's made out of solid copper, brass, aluminum, stainless steel. It's a whole series of element pen kits, and we're going to do a copper one. And the cool thing is you can get that copper patinaed, and what I'm hoping is over time it'll turn a little green in there, and it'll kind of match the colors in this blank. There's a little bit of copper color and there's a little bit of green, and I think it's going to be fabulous. I really like those kits. One of the cool things is the aluminum is really light. So if you're making a pen and you hate heavy pens, it's lighter than normal pen kits. If you want heavier, sometimes you just want a nice thick heavy pen. The brass and stainless steel, copper's heavy too. They're nice and heavy, so you can go either way with those things, and I really like those kits. And for me, I find that the cigar kit is like, it threads the needle of like perfection. It's like cheap, but looks super fancy. And then you also get a ballpoint pen in there. If you don't really want to deal with roller balls, I think the cigar is probably the best kit you can go with for looks, similar to like the roller, because a lot of like the fancy pens are the roller balls, the two-piece things. But if you don't want to deal with caps, I'd say a cigar is the best option out there. And there's lots of options with different platings and styles in the cigar line. So it's one of my go-tos for sure. All right, we're getting pretty close here. Just a couple. You got the overhead going? Is it good?
Yeah, you're good. You
got
got that
the-
one right in front of you there.
Use this. Is this what you use to clean it off?
Yeah. Yeah, let's say I clean. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I clean up, I use that brush.
Well, do you have like a little one that you do something like a
Yeah, there's a-
toothbrush?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want to mess up. See now,
No,
now I
actually-
messed up your.
No, I really.
What do you do with this?
I brush the layer.
Oh, okay.
So this is what I
This
do.
okay. That's what I thought. I'm just gonna put this back. You know.
I was just being sarcastic.
I know. What? What? You? What?
It happens.
You're so serious usually. I don't know. What's got into you?
Then how would I drop it on the floor and pick it up all the time?
Now, one of the cool things about the Starlight glitter is you don't really need to put a finish on top of it. Some of the, if you load up a blank with, I make some blanks that have like the tinsel glitter stuff, you really want to put a CA finish over it because it just doesn't polish very well with a lot of that kind of material. The Starlight though, it's so small that you don't really need to add anything to get it polished, which makes life a little bit easier. You don't have to do the CA finish on top. I always feel kind of silly because like the resin polish is great. You don't need finish on top of any resin blank, but if you put certain materials in with the resin, then you're going to have to do a finish to get it, bare minimum, get the finish, the sheen even across both of those materials. But you really don't need to with the Starlight glitter. That's one thing that I like about using the smaller ones. It's not just the one that I sell, it's smaller glitters. If you haven't just totally loaded up the blank, you can just polish it like it was just a resin blank. And so this is where,
I'm with you. I can't.
and for anybody that doesn't use, these glasses that make you see better, you should really get some because, or if you really don't want to know what your finish looks like, don't ever get these things. Be like, no, it's good. It looks fine. I can't see. I don't know.
They make safety glasses that have magnifying.
I bet they do. I just went to the optometrist. He's like, when's the last time you've seen the eye doctor? And I'm like, dude, I was like 5. I don't know. I've always been able to see okay. And it's amazing because, for like the last 5 years, my pen finishes have been amazing to me, and other people are like,
These are terrible.
I don't know.
Funny how that works.
And so that's what happened was I went to the eye doctor, got glasses, and Chad's like, hey, maybe you should do a finishing thing now, live. I was like, oh, yeah.
After
See how that
recent works.
goes.
Yeah.
Now, it really does help to be able to get in there and see. And so I thought, yeah, maybe I should bring these. It's really a secret power, these things. So that's pretty good. Now, I'm going to do the sanding and the, I'll probably do sanding and polishing while it's in place on each half of the blank. Like I said, the mandrel makes things easier. You can kind of do everything all at once. I don't know. If I was doing production, there would be a strong case for me to do that. I don't do production anything.
Wait,
What?
behind you.
Oh, lathe,
I
buddy.
want to clean my lathe.
That's why you got the brush there.
Yeah.
See, I just blow it with the air thing, but I'll tell you what.
I didn't feel like the crowd would love
Yeah,
that.
be careful of that because I realized until I got my new dust collection system, which is pretty awesome, but very expensive. I never knew why there was dust everywhere in my shop, and it's because I'd always blow things off, and it just puts it everywhere in your shop. So be careful of that. Dust collection helps if you're going to do that. Otherwise, just use a vacuum. That's a better way to do it.
Get around your mandrel there. There you go.
It does help with the things that string up. That's why I blow things off. Another thing that I don't know about, and I would actually like to talk to. I should maybe talk to Rycon out there. Is Record Power out here?
Yeah.
I should talk to them. One thing that I'm curious about is if you're blowing it off with like a kind of a higher pressure, like 90 psi, if it jacks your bearings up. No?
No, because they're sealed.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was something, because I tend to have an issue with my...
And the seal is so good that if they trap air in there, you'll actually feel lumps in your bearings because the air bubbles moving around the balls of the bearing.
Huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Because I tend to have issues with my spindle bearings overheating, and I'm like, what am I doing to this? I might just put too much pressure on from the tailstock side sometimes. I don't know. All right, so what I'm going to start with is 600 grit silicon carbide, and I used to use Abranet. Do you have a piece of that?
Yeah, it's in the. Yeah.
I used to use this, and I like this because it's a screen basically, and so it doesn't clog up much. And I used it for 10 years, and I loved it. Then I started, again, that's why I changed things. And chat, I think you were doing it. I'm like, maybe I should try that again. There's more grit particles spread. You're going to want to use water or something to lubricate, probably water. I find this works way better than that stuff. For my first grit, and I only use the 600. But it gets, as long as you got a pretty reasonably flat, not like kind of bumpy, and leaving a lot of tool marks, 600 should do the job for you to get it nice and flat. If not, you probably don't need to go below 400 to start. And if you used a skew and it's just like dead perfect, then you can start at a much higher grit. I definitely have some bumps and surface stuff going on. I need to turn that down a lot. I like to sand between, what the heck? I guess I'm sanding at 1200. Does this have a belt thing? Okay.
We sped it up for Kate.
Okay. We're all right. Typically I like to sand around somewhere between 500 and 1,000. 1,200 is not going to be a problem. But I usually like to go a little bit slower, typically. But, always clear out your sandpaper. You don't want stuff loading up. And actually, Chad uses like a bottle and like sprays it while he's doing it. That's actually brilliant. I just can't handle the mess that's going to make. I got OCD about a lot of things.
I do?
I do. You don't? On the rings? You don't do that? Some people do that.
I thought you said you watched my stuff. Now I know you don't. I'm just kidding.
You did? Okay,
Wait,
well,
I haven't put
I
out
swear
anything
you did
ever.
once on the rings.
Yeah,
No?
he knows.
That's a good way to do it. I don't want to do that. And
Do you need gloves?
nah, I'm okay. Just once. I usually put gloves on. I just don't like the water kind of gets my hands all cracked, but I'll get
Zach,
some
we
lotion.
have a bunch of people in the chat saying hello, and Gretchen missed Mike. She wants to see Mike, but
She
we'll do it
missed
at the
Mike.
end.
Tell her to reverse.
Yeah, Gretchen, Mike was on for like 5 minutes at the beginning, so we'll do it again at the end. You can close Zach out today.
Are you just plain water?
Plain water. Yep.
I've heard some people put a drop of soap in there.
Yeah, I heard I recently heard that too. And there may be something to it. I don't know though. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. All right, that's looking smooth. All right, so the other thing that I do with resin that I think is, I got this from the pen turning community. People have talked about this, but I hand sand it the other direction. But I noticed, I don't know if anybody's done, have you ever restored your headlights? Never done that? Like got the restoration kit thing? It's a piece of plastic, no different than this. They tell you to cross sand in those too. And I'm guessing that the automotive industry has more money than I do to look into studies on what's the best way to sand plastic. And so it made me think, there probably is something to this. And I do find that I get better results. In my mind, what's happening is you've got these scratches going around, and what can happen is if you just keep doing that with grit after grit that's finer, I think the grits can kind of just get stuck into those grooves, and you're just doing this, you're not fixing it. I think by scratching it that way, you've got kind of a grid, and I don't know. To me, that seems like the most plausible explanation of why you would even do that, cross grit or cross ways sanding. I like to understand things if I can. Otherwise, I feel like it's fiction in my head. So as much as I can understand the process of what's actually happening, I try to. And then we're moving up to, I gotta push that. We're moving up to the green. This is Zona polishing paper. It's basically sandpaper, but kind of a finer thing. I don't really know what the difference is, but I think that a few people have kind of talked about what the grit level is. They talk about microns a lot with this stuff. I think it's a little bit finer than that 600 grit, but not too much higher, like probably about 600 or 700. But it's like a slightly different abrasive, so it tends to sand. Even if it was 600 grit, technically it sands finer, I think, than the 600 grit silicon carbide or wet dry. And you can pick up that black stuff. It's just wet dry sandpaper anywhere, Home Depot or whatever. You guys sell it too, do you? Mm-hmm. You can get it here, so anywhere. And all I do is the green and the gray. Sometimes if I'm really feeling wild, I might do the blue color. But that's all I do with these Zona papers. Then I move to the actual polish, the magic juice. And that's where the magic happens. All right. Should be just about ready here. If you're really going for like perfection, the best thing to do is stop the lathe, wipe it off, and like try to get a light shining, like a focused beam shining off the surface, and you can really see what is the surface doing, what scratches are left. I find that the magic juice polish can kind of cover up a few little scratches here and there. So as long as you're pretty diligent about each sanding step, then you probably don't need to monitor it every step of the way. But like I said, if you're really shooting for like no scratches or anything like that, then it's not bad to kind of stop and look at what's my progress each step. And then same thing, I go lengthwise, and I'm not pressing hard. That's one thing that I think early on I had a really big problem with, is I'd be kind of forcing the sandpaper on there. Let the sandpaper do its job. You don't need to add a ton of force. And especially with this, I'm just kind of resting my fingers on and moving it. Okay, and then go with the green guy, or the gray guy. And I think the gray is somewhere around 1,200, maybe 1,000 to 1,200 grit. Alternatively, you could go through silicon carbide, whatever. It doesn't really matter which sandpaper you use. I really like that this is floppy for the polishing. Sometimes having it's a harder back, stiffer back. The paper on the wet dry is a little stiff, and I can't feel what's going on, and I feel like I end up doing that where I jam it into the workpiece. So with this stuff.
Sorry, a couple comments.
Oh.
Lexi Lily, when going across the sanding lines, I don't really put pressure. I just sand the high ridges I might have left.
Yeah.
Do you know who that is, Lexi Lily? And then one Gretchen says that's a purely blank, and then the next line says purely again, and then the next line says OMG because of all the autocorrects.
It's purely blank.
Pretty. It was a funny thing to watch it happen.
That's purely blank.
So what Lexi Lily is saying is, we do the diamond painting pens, and so we try to get out every single sound line. So we're really focusing hard because we have our cut is very textured and pretty, and so then we're going around curves and ridges.
Have you ever tried buffing?
No.
It's tough because buffing is a tough one to say. Have you tried it? Because it's like $100 or more to get buffing wheels sometimes, like get the setup. If you could, give it a try, because that way, because then you're not trying to get the buffing wheel will just wrap around that. I'm just saying it might be worth trying.
Sound lines?
I'm sorry.
The fine sound lines. Will the buffing help with that?
I think so. I went from buffing. I'm sorry.
Would you put wax on your buffing?
I don't like wax personally. I felt like I did it.
Magic juice on the pen and just
Well, what you're gonna do? There's a lot of places have like the 3-wheel system, and so you're gonna go with the brown rouge is the what's it called? Tripoli, Tripoli. So you'd sand up to probably like 1,000, and you're still going to have to do that. You can't get like
Right.
tool marks and stuff. You're going to have to do some sanding, but for the finer polishes, buffing might be an easier way to go for something that's that bumpy. Pen blanks are so smooth and everything, it's very simple. But when I'm doing like bottle stoppers, it starts to get tedious going around and trying to get in all those crevices. But again, you're going to have to get in there with the coarser grits first
Right.
and do a little bit
Well,
of
as
time.
it is, it can take us up to an hour to 2 hours to find sound.
I know. So it
But we get a
might be
class
worth
finish
trying.
on it.
It might be worth trying the buffing wheels. It may, like I said, it's not going to cut out the front half,
Right.
but it may speed up the second half for you. It's a good way to go. Buffing works too. Like I said, there's a million ways to polish things. What works the best for you and quickest is another thing that I always am looking at, and that might work because I buffed for 10 years. That was the best way that I'm like this magic juice. I have a live stream still. You can go watch it. I'm like, I don't know, magic juice, whatever. 6 steps. Oh my God, how many? But I actually went through it and they were better in the end. So that's why I kind of switched on pens. But I still have my other lathe is set up with buffing wheels still. So I still do it. It's a good way to do it. But so is just going through all of these grits. You could even maybe try these, just doing that. Try a few different things. Don't get crazy. That's my problem is I'm like, oh, I got to do this 50,000 times.
Combination of that, then go to Yorkshire grit.
That works,
micro,
yeah.
And then finish off with the magic juice.
Yeah.
Like, I really.
Well,
I
and
haven't
even
seen some of our pens. They're pretty classy. But
E-
it is a
even-
lot of work.
even if I buff, I still go back and either hit it with the ring bling from Turner's, which is just kind of a final thing, or the 6, if you already have the magic juice, maybe even 5 and 6, and it just brings it, because that was my problem. The finished thing, the buffing I have down, but the finished thing, magic juice was shinier. And that's why I was like, well, I can't argue with this, But if in some cases I will buff, and if I do that, you can get the same result, but it's more steps. And the other thing with the buffing wheels was with pens, then I'm taking it off the lathe, doing this buffing thing, then I got to come back to the lathe and I'm like, oh my God, just magic juice. It's generally what I go for pens.
Zach over here.
I've got the 3-wheel buffing system from Beal. I got it many years ago. I just got it out of deep storage because I wanted to test it along with, like the big thing now, and it wasn't years ago when I first got into it, wet sanding.
Mm-hmm.
I was dry sanding with micro mesh up to 12,000 and then do it on the buffing wheel. Well, I tried the wet sanding and it looks great. And tried the dry sanding. It looks great. And then put it on the buffing wheel with the triple E, the white diamond, and I even do the carnauba wax on the end. And even that adds more shine than the white diamond.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking at all this, and I'm like, what is the best way of doing it? But on one of your last videos I watched, you said you got to get the trial magic juice from Chad
Yeah.
at Turner's Warehouse. That's why I wanted to come down here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And they're the cutest little bugs. I hadn't even seen the sample set, and we were walking through the other, and I'm like, oh my God, they're so cute. Just want to pet it. But it's like, that's what I was saying. If you don't have buffing wheels, like you're talking like to try it out 100 or more. I don't know how much they cost, right? To get that whole setup, and then that's tough for me to even recommend somebody do. If you can use someone else's, that's a good way to try buffing.
I haven't used them.
Less
What?
than for 5 juice, that's a lot better than those little baby.
Yeah. But for the magic juice, I'm like, it's like $10 or $15 to get the sample set that'll probably knock out 30 pens.
And more.
How can you say no to that? Even if you're set in your ways, 10 or 15 bucks, if it could work better, I don't know.
I even found some old trade secret for wood. I don't know if you've ever heard of that before. It was
No.
Years ago, it was a big thing. And it was a little bit dry, but I wiped it on a couple of my pens. Don't do that without soft floor because it just slips right out of your hand.
Jeez.
It's called trade secret for wood. I don't know if they make it anymore.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
Okay, so the magic juice is a 6-step process. And when I first heard that, like I said, I'm like, well, buffing is like 2 wheels. Just the number itself, I was like, this is going to take longer. But it only takes like 10 seconds for each grit. So I like to shake them up every time. And these have been maybe sitting for a little bit. So definitely shake it up just to make sure all the there is going to be some abrasive in here with some liquid. So you want to get that kind of mixed. But it's very simple now. Typically, I like to use, what is this?
They're just cotton cloths.
That's cool. I was just curious. I like to use the blue shop towels. They're just a little bit, these are pretty soft.
Guess what you're getting for Christmas?
You know what I should have done? I should have stuffed the glitter box with that. That would have been funny. I'm okay with this. I'm still not sold. I've done testing and stuff. I don't know how abrasive paper towels are. They are a little bit, but
Well, I mean, if anybody that uses blue shop towels wants to compare against my finish, I'm happy to do it with you.
I use just a regular.
well, are we gonna use our glasses to test it or not?
I use a magnifier.
That's the question. All
People come
right.
into the store and they say, "Can you look at my finish?" And I pull out a magnifying glass, and they're like, "Whoa, not like that."
Never mind. I didn't mean it. I'm gonna get this going like around 2,000, 1,500. And what I do is I like to kind of smear it on and get it even. I don't know if that matters. That's just how I do it. And then, again, I'm not pressing like death grip on this. I'm just letting the abrasive do its job. And it's the thing that blew my mind was just after step one, like I could walk away after step one and I've seen a lot of people that are like, here's my finish. And I'm like, step one, huh? Yeah. You know, like it's so good though. I mean, it's good enough for many people. That you could stop there if you want, but there's 5 more steps. That was crazy the first time I used it. And I just keep kind of going. A lot of times you'll kind of feel when it changes from kind of grabby to like smooth. And at that point you're good. And I usually try and get just a little bit of the excess off on a clean part. Toss that and...
Are you trying to generate heat with those
Nope.
also to help?
I don't, well, and that was a question that for the guy that makes this stuff. I don't know for sure on some of, like, does heat cause problems with it? I would think it does. I would think you'd want to avoid heat with, like, if this is anything like a car polish, you don't want heat. It's going to break down whatever's in there. But I don't know. I'm not sure what the ingredient list is. I'm sure he's not going to tell me, but I'd like him to tell me if if heat is a problem. I'm not sure on that one. So I generally, like I said, not moderate pressure.
Maybe you should get Michael on your one of your live streams.
Actually, we have plans for him to do one. That's a great question.
Yes,
If you have a CA finish, can you use magic juice to polish it?
absolutely. It works for anything like that. In fact, I think it might have actually been introduced or like marketed as a CA finish polish, possibly. But it works great on any hard surface. So we're on step 3. And I can already see, like, you can kind of see the reflection. It just, every step gets shinier and shinier. I believe that, I don't know if every single step, but some of the steps I think actually have, I know from the automotive polish, car polish industry, some things can actually, some ingredients can actually leave behind stuff in any scratches that are left and make it look perfect, like almost hide that. And that, I swear, at least one of these steps does that. Because, again, if you pull out all the stuff, and if you get magnifying glass out, this is not going to turn out perfect at all, by any means. But I don't care, because nobody can tell. That's the whole point. And if you can sell me a product, again, that's easy, any idiot can do it like me, and it hides my flaws, that's worth $15. I'll take it. I'll buy 2.
Is it just for resin or?
No,
I
for
tried it on my
CA,
face, it didn't work.
anything you want to use it on.
Have you ever tried it on a large surface like a charcuterie board?
I haven't. I think it would get a little bit prohibitive, cost prohibitive. There's other options out there that would work
It's
better.
more, I don't think you can get it spending enough.
Well, you could wipe it really hard. I just think there's better options to do something that big. Like at that point, I would probably buy car polish if I really wanted to polish it and use buffers like that. But it works good on bottle stoppers. I've used it on those. Handles also, depending on what the handle's doing. That's about where I stop. And then I switch to something else usually. I'm sorry? I use the pens that I've used. I don't find, now somebody asked about wax, and I don't like waxes a lot of times. Some of them are okay, but I find waxes break down with hand oils more. So your perfectly glossy pen in a week is gonna not look good. And that's bad not for yourself, but that's bad for customers, because then they're like, wow, that was short-lived. So I usually try to stay away from waxes. The microcrystalline waxes don't fall into that category usually, but those things are expensive. So I wouldn't just put like a paste wax. Carnauba can, I gave up on, because that's the three-wheel system, that's what it is. It's Tripoli, White Diamond, and Carnauba wax. And that works great on bowls, on wood, but I always found that my pens just got dull. So I just gave up on it. And 2 wheels is a lot easier to deal with than 3, but the White Diamond doesn't, that was the problem. It doesn't get you to that super gloss that, so two types, those Tripoli and White Diamond, if you do buffing, that gets you really, really shiny. But if you can get like a high gloss polish, like a scratch remover, if you just, because you can just, anything that polishes stuff will work for your stuff. But you kind of want to go for that super high gloss, like a scratch remover type polish. That's a good final step. And like the ring bling, that's what that does. Step 6, 5 and 6 of magic juice. So it's just a mix and match of what things work best for you that you have, that are easy. What's the quickest way? And final step, number 6, and it's super thin. And again, I think that the 6 is the magic stuff that might have something in it that, I also think that it has some anti-static properties to it, possibly. I know some car polishes do that. The 6 really, and I usually try to give 1 and 6 a little bit extra time. I don't know if that matters, but. I usually go between 1,500 and 2,000 for the polish. 700, like somewhere between 500 and 1,000 for wet sanding stuff.
I used to have a black car and would buy, I think it was McGuire's fill-in glaze.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that got those little spider
Yeah.
scratches out.
Yeah, the automotive polishes work pretty good too. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this is. Some variant of that. Ooh, that looks nice. All right. Nah, I don't need this. I don't need the glasses. I need to get these guys out. So after polishing, there's usually some junk on the ends that slid between the bushing. So I usually wipe that off, because otherwise you press it together and that stuff squeezes out and you're like, wow, now I got to clean that. But I'll actually pass this around if you want to look at it. I like those colors.
Zach, does the magic juice react to the bushings?
React. It does kind of turn blackish, I guess, on your paper towel. I don't think it doesn't react. Like there's nothing. There's no chemical reaction, but it does.
Sanding the bushing, essentially, polishing the bushing.
Yeah. It's not a concern though. All right, now I'm going to switch back. We're going to go to between centers, and we're going to do the second blank.
Did you ever get the cigar bushings figured out where the top of the bottom, the lower barrel, was the wrong size bushing for many, many, many years? It's at 520 it should be at 490.
I don't know, they're still different.
The bushing that comes with the cigar kit fits to the top of the rounded part, and it should fit to where that rounded part ends.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Cigar bushings available that will take care of that problem.
What has it?
There are modified cigar bushings
Yeah.
that are made to take care of that.
Yeah, exotic
That
blanks sells some that are that fit perfect to that lower section.
Okay. So I'm going to turn the speed back up. Finish up this second one.
Have you ever used the Novice polish, Zach?
I did a long time ago, and my beginning years of polishing and doing all sanding were impatient and terrible. And so there's some things that I've used that I don't use now that could work. Again, I honestly, people get good results with pretty much every product. It's just some tend to work better for others, I think, depending on how you use it, I guess. At some time I might actually try that again, see how it works. One thing that concerns me about that one, it's only like really, it's a two-step polish. It's like coarse, so it's really kind of more like a cutting. If you do like, if you buff your car, there's like a cutting compound and then there's like a polishing compound. That's all it is. And I think you're getting a better deal with the 6 steps. There's more closer grits, let's say, on each one. So I think that you're probably better off with the Magic Juice compared to that, but it just depends. You probably have to sand higher to get to the step 1 and then do step 2. I'm just guessing though, I don't really know.
Can you use your negative rate tool on a hybrid?
Yeah. I find that the standard cutters typically work better on hybrids. It just can handle both materials. The negative rate cutters with wood, even stabilized, kind of tend to just create a lot of dust on the wood. It works, but it's kind of harder to turn. I think you might find you get better results with a standard cutter, just to handle different densities, hardnesses of materials. It'll handle that transition better and kind of cut the wood a lot better. That's a good question though. Typically, especially if you watch older videos of mine, I use negative rakes for hybrids, and it works fine, but it does create more dust and doesn't really cut as well as a standard. I prefer using I definitely prefer using a negative rake on hollowing, hollowing things, not necessarily like a bowl, but hollowing vessels and things. I don't care if it's wood or resin. I like using the negatives on that. It just works perfect. But for like the outsides of things, bottle stoppers, even pens and whatever, I typically go with a standard cutter on the outsides of things. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. What? I don't even pay attention to it. The only reason I do it is just so that I'm not dragging a flat piece of metal over a round, bumpy piece of metal. It just gets it on an edge, and I just kind of get it up on that edge, so it's a single point on that bar. It just makes it smoother for me. I'm not saying it's better or worse. There could be an argument to getting a better cut on a bias with the cutter, maybe. I don't know though. Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I never thought about that. Although it kind of shoots it into your face coming this way, but then it's out of your face that way.
Show this off right here, 'cause apparently when I was holding it up before, it was focusing on something else.
Maybe I should stop the thing. Is it this?
Yeah, it's that one.
There you go. This
So-
Gretchen in the chat keeps giving me a hard time about my focus.
So I didn't really mention it, but
And she just said she wishes she was here.
some of the glitter ends up in the other colors, but you know, we put the micro glitter in the green only, and then the regular Starlight, the bigger chunky, in the silver only. But you see, like, there's little twinkles, and that's the glitter in this. If I didn't have the glitter, it wouldn't kind of, little points wouldn't be shining. You just kind of have that like pearliness that's more wavy in this. So it's pretty cool. I'm excited. I don't do that. Like, that's not. It was something that I kind of thought of because it's not the first thing that I'm like, oh, I need to put glitter in with the mica. So I was like, let's do that. Let's have some fun with it. I like to try different things. You never know what could happen. You know, could be the greatest thing you ever saw. If you didn't try it, then nobody knows. Should we have the sand the tube, don't sand the tube argument?
Rough the tube before glue.
Should we be rough?
I don't know, Zach. You want to take that one?
I didn't rough these up. The one thing that I do is I actually, either with acetone or denatured alcohol, I actually wipe off the tubes. I think if anything, that's probably more beneficial than scratches. But the truth is, any kind of glue is going to tell you to rough up the surface. So that it's not going to hurt anything. It's just, is it really going to help? I don't know. And then you run into, if you ever use a painted tube, you're not roughing that up. So, and they work fine without roughing. But I do think that if there is any oils or any other stuff that could inhibit the glue bond, so a little acetone helps out a lot. But even with that, I mean, I don't. If you glued if we did a whole scientific experiment, I'm pretty sure the results are going to be it doesn't really matter. What do you think? Whichever way you want to do it, right?
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. It's like buffing versus magic juice. Yes. That'll work. Oh, kind of dug in there. All right. Can't even see what I'm doing here. Putting animal shapes in this, I think. Oh, that was not good. Ah. Got to make it presentable at least. Jeez. Doesn't have to be perfect, but
Hey, your wife is watching, you know, let's step it up.
no, she knows. Progress, not perfection. That's her mantra. Progress. And I agree with it.
I'll have to show you my watch then.
What does it say?
Progress, not perfection.
Really? Nice. See? You don't have to win every time. You just need to move forward. All right. I'm excited. I think this is going to look good with that copper kit. And I really hope that I can get it to patina green. What do you use to patina these? So, wait, we were talking about patinas. If anybody doesn't know what a patina is, that's like kind of a, how do you explain that? It's like corrosion of the metal, I guess, or yeah.
Yeah, it's like a reaction.
And so with the copper ones, I guess you can use different chemicals, like ammonia. I'm pretty sure with either brass or copper will do something. There's other things
I
too.
use salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar. So that's the cool thing. It's like a different thing with the Element series pen kits. It's like a whole other thing that you. Do you have that the one that you did with the under? It's like with the copper blank thing too. Do you have that? You should pass that around. It's so cool. I love that thing. I mean, you don't have to necessarily do it now if you don't want to, but I think you got time. Lathe buddy. Love these little lathe buddies. You got little magnets in the back. I usually just hang. Well, that didn't work. My lathe is more metallic and magnetic. I don't think this is. Is this not magnetic?
It's got too many layers of paint on it.
Yeah, maybe there's too much paint. All the paint's rubbed off on mine. It goes so fast, paint fell off. But I like these things, so I just kind of leave mine on the lathe. But they have a backing with, it's like a plastic backing, so it's not going to like leak. Water's not going to go through the towel and get on your lathe bed. Now in Arizona and Nevada too, I don't get rust all over the place. But I think if you were in like Florida, I think you'd be a lot. Oh, that thing's so cool. So this is a patina. The blanks themselves are actually, and they sell the blank things too with the kit, but let's pass this around. I should have shown the thing, huh?
Oh, sorry.
So that's the greenish stuff, that's the patina part. It's pretty cool. Oh. All right, so back to 600 grit. This thing is bumpy as heck.
Chad, is that a kit or did you patina it yourself?
Well, that's the kit Zac's using that I patinaed because they come just raw copper. Yeah.
Because normally the copper has like a lacquer or something.
Yeah, most kits are plated, so they have a coating over them or a plating of a color. These are just raw metal, so they're machined out of copper and then there's nothing done to it. So over time it'll darken or it'll turn green or do whatever depending on the elements. That's why we call them the element. And this one happens to be copper, and then the body, like where Zac's making it out of resin, the body is also solid copper. So the whole thing, it's why it's real heavy. But it's just raw copper that's patinaed with vinegar and salt to make it turn colors.
Yeah, so my plan with this maybe is to try and do the patinaing after. Did you do it after? Well, you probably did the whole thing after with that.
I did the whole thing.
What would you recommend if, for like, I got a resin blank, would you patina the kit first or do it after you assemble the pen?
I mean, probably you could get more patina on it doing it first because you wouldn't have to worry about damaging the blank. However, if you did it lightly with just like wipe on stuff, not where you're going to like let it sit and leave it on there chunky, you could probably do it after and you probably could get some cool colors. Obviously you wouldn't want to do anything with heat or anything and melt your resin, but I think you could
if
make
you do
it look cool.
before, would there be any issue? Does it add stuff where it would make it hard to put together?
Nope. No, because you cover that part. I typically cover the parts of the pen that go into the tube so that way they're not changed.
Cool.
But that, I mean, you're taking a pen kit and like thinking outside the box and making it totally unique by matching a patina to a blank. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen that on purpose, so other than like that whole thing is copper, but it's kind of a good way to do unique stuff.
Yeah, they're fun. I was excited when you told me you were coming out with those things. I was like, yes, send some. But then like I said, I get so busy that I'm like, oh shoot, I forgot and the other problem is like I don't have vinegar at the shop. I don't have ammonia at the shop, so I'm like, I got to get that. That's another thing I got to add to the to-do list,
They even have really cool patinas. You can get them at like welding shops that you have to heat up the part. So you just warm it or get it hot in something, and then you spray the stuff on it. It'll turn it the green or the blue or whatever the patina is. It's really cool stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Where's that first one you turned? I didn't see that.
It's right here. Who said that?
Don't put your glasses on, and it'll look a lot better. Just kidding.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I really wasn't. I was just going through the motions. I wasn't even paying attention. I didn't stop to look to see between grits. It's pretty simple. I mean, it doesn't take a lot to get. I think where people screw up, and I did this for many years, is that jamming the sandpaper into it is not going to, because heat is actually the biggest enemy. It can kind of melt your the glues that keep the abrasive particles on your sandpaper. That's a problem. It's not going to make the blank feel good. And if you're pushing harder, then you can kind of make like a 600 grit into a 400 because you're pushing it harder. Even though the grit particles are not bigger, you're still just making it deeper. So I think don't be heavy-handed sanding. Another one is don't buy really junky sandpaper. Like, don't go to Harbor Freight and buy sandpaper. I'm going to tell you, that's the easiest one we all know. Don't do that. You're not saving yourself anything, because what ends up happening is their quality control for that a super cheap. I'm talking about like the just garbage cheap Amazon 99 cents for 50,000. Don't do that, because the glues they use, the quality control of the particles is not good. That's why it's cheap, because nobody's inspecting it, and the glue is not actually glue, and all the particles fall off. That can actually lead to more problems than anything. So you don't have to get like super expensive sandpaper. Just, whatever's at like the Home Depot that people know, like 3M or Norton or whatever, and you're good to go. But higher quality, and this goes for woodworking or anything that you're sanding with. Reasonably decent sandpaper is going to do a lot better than cheap. And I like to get fresh sandpaper more often. I'm not saving this until the end of the world. I'll get a few pens out of it on a strip like this, and I throw it away. Always get a good piece of sandpaper. The Zona stuff, it comes in an 8.5 by 11, like a sheet of paper, and I just cut them into little thin strips. One pack of Zona will last a long time. You get a lot of little strips like this out of it. Okay, we'll do some sideways. And we'll finish up with our gray here. Is the chat behaving without Mr. Gold in there, keeping them in line?
Without Mike, it's mayhem.
Is it like animals just?
No, they're all being pretty good.
Oh, okay.
They're talking about the lathe buddy, and then they were talking about patinaing. And
that's cool.
doing different things.
Did you put a finish on this afterward?
Maybe. So I can't share that, but
That's proprietary.
Yeah. It's clear automotive lacquer. You asked? Yeah, because the patina I don't want it to change, so I want it to stay the same. Yeah.
So if you wouldn't want the copper to change, would you put the lacquer over it?
You could. Or you could just get a copper kit that's like plated, and it would stay that bright copper color.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just like a kind of a different animal, and I find it's not for everybody, these patina pens, because I love that. I call it the shipwreck. But some people are like, this looks old and like it was in a dump forever. And I'm like, well, that's kind of what I was going for. So
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. But not everyone likes it, but that's preference, yeah. So, but even some of the, like when Zach opens the kit, we'll look at it, because even some of the raw copper kits that are just sitting in the bags have already started to darken, and it looks super cool. So you got to know that it's going to change over time.
But if you don't put a finish over it, when you're holding and using it, you wear it down and give it a different type of.
It won't wear it down, but it'll darken it, or it'll make it shiny, or do whatever. But yeah, it'll make it different. So that's kind of a cool thing too, because and people have different oils in their hands, so it's going to affect the raw copper differently. So
Yeah, I'm just way too impatient to just be like, oh, I'll just see how it goes over time.
take a look in 3 years.
Wait a couple of years.
Yeah.
No, I'm gonna put something on there. Make it accelerate. I'm trying to think. There's other chemicals. Like I know that
You
people
just
used
gotta
to,
be careful because you can, like, ammonia and vinegar makes some nasty fumes.
yeah. I think, well, because like people would, you can darken oak, I think with ammonia or something.
You dissolve.
And like
Steel
people would put
wool
it in
vinegar.
kind of like a, yeah, like
Yeah.
put it in like a box. And it would make it like black, I think. I don't think I ever did that. You can also just paint it. That tends to work too.
Or use walnut.
Make it black. It's true. Is this going? No, it's not really. I like to get it up above 1500.
Zach, when that pen makes it around, will you show it to the camera for the people at home?
Oh yeah. Is this the one? Both of them?
Show it to that camera, would you?
Yeah.
I think, there's a way to spalt the wood too, spalting of the wood.
No, that's like a fungus kind of.
Yeah, I thought they put in some certain things and then a
Yeah.
liner was already spalted. And they
Oh,
backed
maybe.
it up.
They bag it and they pour beer on it because the yeast starts the spalt sometimes. It's a really, it's kind of like an art.
You gotta wait like
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. Some people can do it really well and sometimes it doesn't look like anything. Yeah, I would imagine.
All right, number two, and sometimes number two is a little grabby on your paper towel for some reason. It's been pretty tame today, but you can rip that thing right out of your hand. So one of the big things that I always talk about is I always recommend using something that will just rip if it gets grabbed on this thing. Don't pull out terry cloth strips because if it wraps, it's going to pull, and that's for anything, hair and jewelry, and my ring is a silicone ring. Just be careful around the lathe. I've heard horror stories of things that people have gotten hurt doing. So just be aware of that. If anybody's familiar, anybody watch Blondie Hacks on YouTube? She does like she's like a machinist. And her saying is, every tool in the shop is just trying to kill me. So I'm just staying away from that. And that's the truth, you know? These things don't care about you at all. So just, you know, you gotta respect that tool.
What's the shelf life
Probably infinite.
It's at
I don't
least
know.
2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had that
I
one
would
back
say
at least 2 years.
I would say if it's like 130 out, that's going to make it probably deteriorate faster. If it's just like room temperature, it probably lasts years for sure. With no problem.
How much are you using on each?
I'm sorry?
Or pass?
I'm sorry?
How much are you using on each one?
Oh,
These size?
I don't. Yeah, just like whatever they say, like a dime, or I'll try to. Well, of course, I'll show you with the I'll show you with the 5.
Yeah. I can erase.
5 might. If it comes out. I don't know. You know, am I on?
Yeah, why don't lights show the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll show it again on the 5. Not that much. Little, like dime. I mean, that was actually way too much. That was way too much.
Not a dime.
Yeah, not a dime.
If only.
Half a dime. Not a nickel.
Next year there
but
still
a
won't be blue shop towels.
P. Yeah.
Actually smaller than a pea.
Split P.
Yeah.
Definitely like a split
Yeah.
P.
A full pea if you're doing 2 pieces.
Yeah, I mean, if you got the mandrel, then you got to go full P.
Yeah.
No questions.
Quotes by Zach.
What do they do on YouTube? You can like clip it out of there. That's gonna be.
Oh, yeah,
It's gonna be on the
Put
tick.
that on a t-shirt?
That'll be on the TikTok. Okay, so that's probably. Where's the thing? That's probably pretty good. I don't know. Half a P. Pretty good.
Zach, you got about 5 minutes. You can make it.
I'm almost done here.
Yeah.
We
What's
got,
that?
He's on step 6.
I'm on step 6.
He really has 10, but I told him 5.
Then he needs to do the credits.
Yeah.
All right.
Disclaimers.
It's not the outro.
Step 6 gun, and then we just got to assemble this guy, and we'll be good to go. How long have it been going?
About an hour. Hour 10.
Oh, that's pretty good. Takes me like 3 hours on my live stream. That's because I just jabber the whole time. Huh? Everyone's like, shut up and turn. All right, so let's get this doohickey out here. That there, kind of. And again, I'm going to clean the. There's a little bit of polish in between these bushings here.
You should put some channels.
Yeah, that'd be cool on the board.
What I have on mine.
Okay.
Put some magnets in there.
Gretchen gave me a smile for hurrying you up.
For what?
Hurrying you up. Telling you you're running out of time.
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm doing
So
fabulous.
tell them how those parts look. Are they already a little dark or anything?
Not
Or
really.
Shiny still?
Yeah,
It might have been a new batch. Who knows?
they're looking good. I have had some that were a little bit darker though. Yeah.
Since it's raw copper, is it gonna like get scratched easier or?
I don't think so. No.
Uh-oh, man down,
Transmission down.
your transmission, other foot. Left side.
I'll get it in a sec. I'll get it in a sec. Where did that thing come from? Jeez. All right. Here we go. Oh, that part's a little bit. Yeah.
What's up?
The clip's a little bit different than the top part.
It's brass.
Oh, okay.
These are brass.
Nice. I was like, I didn't have my glasses on, so I don't know. This
No, it
sort of
kinda
looks
I
different.
was like the same way.
This looks kind of different to me. Oh. Okay. I'm probably gonna have to get this all the way out. I haven't used this thing before. Press.
Let me know if I can help.
I think I'll be good.
So
How does
it's
this thing work?
spring-loaded, and then you just want to put blocks behind it so that when it hits that, it stops. Then your pressure applies. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, okay, I see. That thing's got a. Oh yeah. Oh.
Just make sure you put
Ah,
All in. Your blocks are all in.
that's what you want, I think, right?
Yeah, because you want to push against something solid.
I just need to make sure that I'm not
So
doing the
make
wrong,
sure. Cigars.
wrong parts in the wrong place. That's nice.
It works
Smooth.
real well, yeah.
All right, so we got the nib, and then we got this piece.
Make
Next.
sure you cover those threads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He likes just on these kits or
Every
any kit?
cigar.
Really?
Yeah. Never push against cigar threads.
Get your hand out of the blocks. Okay. So that's a good tip. I don't usually do this, but Chad's got these things where you cover the threads. These little. How did you make this? Just
I just drilled out.
drilled
some
out a piece of plastic.
yeah.
That's pretty good. And that way you're not like squishing the threads. I usually just push on them, but
Well,
it's probably-
copper's the most fragile because it's the softest.
Yeah.
But even on like plated kits, you don't want to push on those because they can just crush super easy if you have a lot of
Yeah,
sticky
there's one of your
tension.
kits that I ruined 2 of because of the resin or something.
just make sure
Is Magic
everything's working
Juice
here.
a friction polish?
No, it's just a polish. Friction is not required, as far as I know.
Kind of is, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay. That part. All right, now here's the thing, and this is another reason why I like cigars. With juniors, you need to get everything like twisted together and lined up and hope nothing moves and all this stuff. With cigars, you can put it on, take it off, and get everything aligned over and over again without taking the kit apart. So that's another thing that I like. So I didn't mark this. A lot of times on a two-piece blank, I'll mark the inside of the tube to know where things line up. Many times with just a color swirl blank, it doesn't even matter. But sometimes there might be a pattern that you want to extend. So like I said, I don't even know if I actually have the blanks in the right orientation here, but I'm just going to look at this and I got some pretty cool, I don't know if that's on the camera or not. Just going to look at this. I got a cool little swirl thing there. I like that. And I think I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my clip kind of over that part. And all of our parts there. All right. And because like I was saying, you just basically push this together and you can take it off again and realign it. But man, I don't know. What do you think about that?
That works.
The patina, I think, is going to help. So let's get this on the camera.
That one over there, Zach.
This one?
Yeah. Whoops, I'm on the wrong one. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that,
I like
that worked
that.
out really
Like I
good.
said, I don't usually do the glitter and the mica powder. That's just, I'm like, oh, that's way too much stuff. But man, I'll tell you what, there's going to be more glitter and mica powder going on.
Yeah, that looks really
I like
cool.
that. It's interesting. It just changes, instead of just wavy stuff, you've got things that are kind of blinking at you at the same time. So I'm going to pass this around for you guys to see up close. Like I said, I'd like to get that thing patinaed a little bit. So I'm going to work on that. I'll probably go through that, and I'll probably share that on my live stream in a week or two. See how that because it happens immediately when you do it with like the chemicals and all that. You could just handle that thing and it'll slowly change, but I don't want to do that. I'm way too impatient for that kind of thing.
Would you punch it out, or would you cover the blank?
I mean, as long as
I
it's
don't
not
think
too
the blank.
harsh, I don't
Yeah,
think it'll hurt it.
I think it's fine.
Unless it's something real like.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe what I'll do is pop it apart and try two different ways and be like, okay, well I destroyed the top half, but the other, we'll try a couple of things because I think it'll be interesting. Again, is it for everybody? Maybe no, maybe not. But it's just an interesting, different thing that you're not going to get just buying a pen kit from Taiwan. Like you're going to get something extra that you can do to it and. If you sell up the value, maybe, if you're just giving it away for a gift or keeping it, it's just cool. Most people don't have this thing. So, does anybody have any questions about like the polishing? I don't know. We were kind of focused on the polishing thing. Yeah, go ahead.
So you've been applying this to resin here. If you make a blank of wood and resin, is it going to do okay on the wood?
It'll probably, if there's deeper grain, like if it was a really dense wood like cocobolo, you could probably use the polish. I probably wouldn't. It's going to get kind of stuck in those little grain holes. I would probably use something more like a Yorkshire grit on a hybrid. Buffing will not really do that same thing where it's like a liquid that's colored. So any grain holes in the wood, it's going to, the magic juice is going to get stuck in there. So I probably wouldn't on most things. Now, what I would do is just put a CA finish over the whole thing anyway. That's what I would typically do on a piece of wood. And then at that point, once you've sealed everything, the magic juice will do CA glue just the same as like a resin blank. So raw wood, no. CA finish over it, I would.
So you're saying put like Starbond CA over the top of that? maybe a medium CA glue.
However you do the CA finish, yeah, and just build up some layers so that the whole thing's sealed. I don't, it depends on what you want, but I find that if you've got wood, even if it's stabilized, it's not gonna get as glossy. There's no way to get wood as glossy as resin, as plastic. And so you're gonna have like this super shiny plastic thing next to a kind of dull wood. And that can look okay, it depends on what you're going for, but I find that if you just put a CA finish over top of the whole thing, it's the same sheen when you're looking at it, no matter what's going on, no matter how you hold it or anything. And in many cases, if you had like something like pine cone, if it was raw wood and not stabilized, I would seal it anyway. The finish on top is gonna seal that material, and because otherwise what can happen is moisture can make it move and you can get cracked pens. I actually, gator jaw bone, the thing was actually stabilized even, and it's still cracked, and I had to put a CA finish over to finish that pen. So different materials you might want to just seal anyway, and again, that sheen issue is really why I put a CA finish on things.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions about anything?
Zach, where can they find you?
You can find me in Nevada. No, I'm on YouTube. I do a live stream every Saturday at noon Pacific time. And we do kind of the same thing. I do usually make some blanks or something like that, and then the next week turn it up and see what we got. So if you're interested in that, it's a good group of people too. They're in the chat right now. We always have a lot of fun on Saturdays, and it's right after the Saturday morning cartoons. If you guys watch Jake's and Jamie and all those guys, earlier one. So we do that, and then I'm on Instagram, Resin Werks Studio, all that kind of good stuff.
Awesome. And one last question. Somebody asked if you've tried friction polish on a resin blank. I'm going to say no, because friction is meant for wood. So it really wouldn't do anything to resin. So I think I don't think it would do what you're after.
I never did friction polishes.
Yeah.
I figured CA is faster.
Yeah. All right, everybody, let's give
durable.
Zach a round of applause.
Thank you guys.
You got about 15 minutes if you want to stretch your legs, get a drink, and then Emily's going to be doing a hollow form.